everybody, Adam here. And today I'm going to be checking out what I consider to be a Christmas classic from about 12 years ago. It's hard to think that it's already been 12 years since the song came out, but it's the classic Trans-Siberian Orchestra track, Wizards in Winter. Man, I love this track. I remember when it first came out and like everyone was like so stoked on the music video. By the way, I had no idea that the actual official video was the Christmas Lighthouse. I thought a fan did that and that went viral, but it was actually the band's intention. So it was interesting when I was like looking up and doing research for this video. But anyway, let's dive in on this song and I'll let you guys know what I think throughout. So they just go straight into it. It's definitely like more of like an older production sounding. What's really interesting, the drum tone has like a very older sense, like especially with the cymbals. The violin is awesome. So everything has its own place. It's very impressive because I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they record with orchestra. So that's very hard to mix everything in and get it all sounding good together. Yeah, like almost none of this sounds like a keyboard. Like it all sounds like real acoustic instruments. Oh, the guitar playing is so good. Great lead tone here that fits in with like all the other production work. There's so many parts going on during that chorus. Yeah, those orchestra bells, like that all sounds real. I mean, I know they have like hyper-realistic keyboard sounds for it, but I don't believe their keyboardist did it. I could be wrong though. Like I know they play with live orchestras as well. Oh, I'm just ready for that guitar lick again. Oh. Something I really like about the mix is that the snare drum doesn't like over-dominate everything. Ooh. Great playing, man. You can really hear the chugging going on, but the chugging is actually not the electric guitar. It's the other stringed instruments and the and whatever like orchestra sound they're using. Man. All right, classic song, man. Like such a good song. Okay, so let's talk about everything. The overall production is a little bit older sounding. For some reason in my head, I was thinking that this was going to be like a almost like a throwback to like 70s and 80s metal, because that's where the Trans-Siberian Orchestra like writers, that's kind of where they come from for like influence and for their arrangement. But it's a really interesting take on like what was considered really good audio engineering and work for like 10 to 12 years ago. And then they definitely have that like 80s guitar feel and drum feel and bass feel. So this is really interesting. This is like what happens when you take like a 1980s like almost power metal band and you put it in with like modern day like orchestra, and it works really well. So their productions are really complicated because they use they either use a lot of keyboard instruments or they have a lot of like actual real and live instruments that they use as well in their recordings. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think very many of those parts that could be considered keyboard parts were. But even that piano part, they could have brought in like a grand piano to record that in studio, which I've done before. Something that I found interesting about the drumming production was the snare drum. So the snare drum had a pretty wide bottom end, but I was expecting like a really wide and like long reverb sound to be on it, and I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't. Generally speaking, you'll find that with this like kind of music, like you'll have like wide snare drum tones that will be like really wide in the reverb in the stereo image in the left and right here. So I thought that was interesting that they kept it relatively dry. It was also not very loud in the mix. Generally speaking, when you mix drums, you want the snare drum to be as loud as the whatever lead instrument there is. So normally in like a metal band, that's like the vocal, the electric guitar, and the snare drum should be about the same level. In my case, because I do instrumental music, I try to make my solos or my keyboard melodies be the same volume as the snare drum. But in this case, they brought the snare drum back a little bit, and it wasn't as prominent or like in your face necessarily. It still sounded good. They needed to have room for like all these other instruments. So maybe that's why they did it. I'd be very curious to come in on a production with these guys and just like see what they do, how they EQ everything, especially. So if you don't know, so EQ means like equalization. It takes a lot of equalization to get all the levels right across the entire sound spectrum. You definitely EQ things like keyboards as well. So it's something you don't really think about. But I'd be very curious to know like how they EQ'd some of the low end string parts, like on the there's definitely string cello parts happening. How do they get that to not conflict with the bass guitar? Because those frequencies are in the same area. So it's really interesting that they were able to pull this off and do it so well. The lead guitar, like when it came in, that was prominent. And I did find it interesting that they decided that they wanted that lead instrument to be so in your face in the mix, because there wasn't really any other instruments that were that loud in the mix until that lead guitar came in. So that was an interesting choice. And it didn't seem like there was a lot of reverb or delay on the electric guitar. It's just really, really good, distorted, very clean playing. He's a very clean player. If you've ever seen any of his like YouTube content or ever seen him like play live, it's just, he does it perfectly. He's an amazing guitarist. I think that pretty much sums up my thought about this amazing like metal Christmas classic here. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the like buttons, subscribe button, bell button, leave me a comment down below if you like the video. I know it's still holiday season. If you want me to react to any other Christmas like song or Christmas metal song, please let me know about it. I am on Fiverr. I do many things on Fiverr, but I would say the most prominent one is playing that guitar right there. I've been playing for over 15 years. If you want pretty much any form of rock and metal done for your track, whether it be original or a cover song, let me know. Hit up any of the links in the description below. You can check them out yourself and see if there's anything there that interests you. On my Patreon as well, I do have my merchandise. You can see my t-shirt back there for Circles of Namibia. That is my instrumental progressive metal solo project. All of that is up on Spotify, and I have a Teespring. All of it is in the description below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.